the lost episode of The Amazing World of Gumball that never aired. It was a Tuesday morning at Elmore Junior High, but something felt different from the moment Gumball and Darwin walked through the front doors. The hallways were unusually quiet, with only the sound of their footsteps echoing against the lockers. Their classmates were there, but they moved in perfect synchronization, their heads turning in unison as the brothers passed by. In their classroom, Miss Simeon stood at the blackboard, writing the same equation over and over again. When Gumball raised his hand to ask a question, she turned around with a smile that stretched too wide across her face. Her eyes had become completely black, reflecting nothing. The other students continued to stare straight ahead, their expressions blank and identical. During lunch, Gumball noticed that everyone was eating the same meal, a gray, shapeless substance that seemed to move on its own. When he tried to speak to Penny, she responded in a voice that wasn't quite hers, speaking words that made no sense, but somehow felt terrifyingly important. Darwin tugged at his brother's sleeve, pointing to the cafeteria windows where the sky had turned an unnatural shade of purple. The school bells began ringing continuously, a sound that grew louder and more distorted with each chime. Students started walking in perfect lines toward the gymnasium, their movements mechanical and precise. Gumball and Darwin tried to resist, but found their own feet beginning to move against their will, following the crowd down corridors that seemed to stretch longer than they remembered. In the gymnasium, Principal Brown stood on a stage that hadn't been there before, speaking in a language that hurt to hear. The words seemed to crawl into their minds, making them forget who they were and why they had been afraid. One by one, their classmates' faces began to change, becoming smooth and featureless, like unfinished drawings. Gumball felt his own face beginning to change, his distinctive features starting to fade. Darwin's orange color was draining away, leaving him pale and empty. They tried to call out to each other, but their voices were becoming the same monotone sound that everyone else was making. The last thing Gumball remembered was the realization that this wasn't just happening at school. Through the windows, he could see that all of Elmore was transforming, becoming a place where nothing was different, nothing was special, and nothing would ever change again. The episode ended with the Watterson house completely silent, the family sitting motionless at the dinner table, their eyes reflecting the same empty darkness that had consumed everyone else in their perfect, terrifying world.